Hey there everybody, I hope you're all doing well. This video is going to be a presentation of some facts about why I believe the Earth is not a spinning ball. I've got a number of different pages to go through in my Adobe Illustrator project here. I'm just going to go through one at a time, read everything I've put on the page, and you can pause the video at any time if you'd like to read it all yourself. I'm going to start here with the introduction page. I'm sure that there's going to be some mild grammar and sentence structure errors, but the point is the information. So without further ado, the intro. Here are some accepted beliefs about the Earth and its place in the cosmos. The Earth has a circumference of 24,874 miles. In every square mile, there are 8 inches of curvature. The Sun is at the heart of the solar system. All bodies in the solar system, planets, asteroids, comets, etc., revolve around it. The distance from the Earth to the Sun is called an astronomical unit, or AU, which is used to measure distances through the solar system. The AU has been defined as 92,955,807 miles. The age of the Earth is 4.5 billion years. NASA has had multiple successful moon landing missions. There are 9 planets in our solar system, counting Earth. Water makes up 71% of the Earth's surface. The Earth rotates on its axis at 1,040 miles an hour. The Earth orbits the Sun at 66,600 miles an hour. The Sun is moving towards Lambda Herculis at 45,000 miles per hour, which is Lambda Herculis is, I believe, another solar system or another constellation, something like that. The Earth takes 365 days to orbit the Sun. All of these can be verified with any search engine: space.com, Wikipedia, solar-center.stanford.com, answers.com, duckduckgo.com search engine. Here is a picture of the azimuthal equidistant map, where the North Pole is projected in the center versus the top of the map. Here is a picture of the globe, and here's the UN logo. Coincidence to that? I don't think so. My first reason the Earth cannot be a spinning globe is water. No matter the quantity of water, being a lot or a little, will act the same every time. Water will follow the path of least resistance, move to the lowest point it can, and will level itself out. According to accepted beliefs, the Earth's surface is 71% water. With the Earth being 24,874 miles in circumference, there would literally have to be humps of water that follow the curvature in all bodies of water. This is not the case on Earth. All bodies of water, large or small, minus the obvious waves from wind, etc., are level and flat. All of these quantities of water follow the same properties: a glass of water, a bird bath, a sink, a bathtub, swimming pool, lagoon, lake, ocean. All of them follow the properties of leveling out and following the path of least resistance. In this image to the left here, the red ball has been filled with water like a sponge and then spun in the air. Water instantly flies off in all directions. The Earth spinning at 1,040 miles an hour, and the water on Earth and all bodies of water is unaffected. You can find small to large bodies of water that are perfectly smooth, an impossibility, I believe, on a ball spinning 1,040 miles an hour. The Bedford River is home of an experiment where Samuel Rowbotham wanted to measure the curvature of the Earth. This particular section of the Bedford River is a 6-mile stretch that is nearly perfectly straight, an ideal spot to do such an experiment. The findings were that there were no curvature over the 6 miles. This is what he expected to see. If you don't know the experiment, it was two people on the Bedford River, Bedford level, Samuel and his buddy. Samuel was watching the boat sail away from him with a flag, and he had a telescope of some kind watching the flag as it cruised down the 6-mile stretch. He never lost sight of the flag. It was completely flat and level, and there should have been curvature in that section of water. Here's a photo of Lake Baikal in Russia, Russia's largest lake, 395 miles long and 49 miles wide. 8 inches of curvature per mile on Earth. There should be a large hump in the ice following the curvature, but it's laser flat. Here's a picture of the Bedford River in Norfolk, England. Second reason is going to be the stars that we see. With the facts mentioned on the first page, the Earth rotating on its axis at 1,040 miles an hour, the Earth's orbit 66,600 miles an hour, and the Sun and planets moving at 45,000 miles an hour towards Lambda Herculis, the stars in the sky would not be the same every night, week, month, year, decade, millennium. This is not the case here on Earth. We see the same stars and constellations every night moving in the same circular pattern like this. There's Sirius, or the North Star, moving in the same circular pattern every night. This is an image of the night sky with a long exposure time, or the shutter left open on the camera. The star in the center is not moving. It's Polaris. Sorry, not Sirius, Polaris. Knowing the information to the left, how can the Earth possibly be a spinning ball moving through space at thousands of miles an hour if the night sky has never changed? So remember, from the above facts, we're moving in 3 different directions at once. First, the Earth rotating on its axis. Second, the Earth orbiting the Sun. And third, the Sun and planets moving towards Lambda Herculis. So that's the Earth spinning, orbiting the Sun, and the Sun and planets moving in a straight line. Yet, we see this every night. No. Here are some official NASA images from 72 to 2015. The color changes, as does the size of the continents. That means these are not photos, these are artist renditions. You can't take a picture of something round if it's not round, so they have to fake it. They have airplanes fly over the continents and take ribbons of pictures that they then stitch together at a later time. And in Photoshop or a similar program, they create these images. Just look at how different those are. And these are official NASA images of the Earth. Look at the United States here and there. Look at the color of the water. Look at the color of the continents. Look at the clouds. This is an image of the Sun and the Earth on its 365-day orbit around the Sun. The stars we see in the winter would be on the other side of the Sun in the summer, and we shouldn't be able to see them if we are a ball orbiting another ball. So let's say here, this is summer. The stars we would see over in this area in wintertime, we would have to look through the Sun to see them over here. So it doesn't make sense. The third reason the Earth cannot be a spinning ball is the horizon level. My silly example here is a stick person A on the left and a stick person B on the right. A is looking at the horizon on the ground and it's at eye level. Stick person B is standing on a big ladder, or you could say, in a plane or whatever, and having to look down to see the same horizon. Obviously, you'd have to go up quite high into the sky to have to look down to see the curvature, but this is what we would expect to see on a ball Earth of 24,874 miles. So nowadays, or I mean any day, anybody goes up into the sky, they're not going to have to look down to see the curvature because there is no curvature. All of the footage you see from NASA or any side companies funded by NASA all use GoPro fisheye cameras to capture almost all their footage. This makes the image look curved. So here's the original footage. You would think that that would be a curved Earth, but they have such things as GoPro lens correctors, and here's the image corrected. It's flat. Airplane windows also have curved glass. Here's a couple pictures stitched together of different areas and horizon lines being precisely flat on the water, on land, on ice, up into the sky, all flat. It doesn't move at all. It stays at the observer's eye level no matter the altitude or location. Down below here are photos of a peach-shaped buoy on the ocean. In the first few photos, you can only see water, but as the camera zooms in, the buoy comes into view and nearly fully visible in the last few shots. There's supposed to be 8 inches of curvature per mile. This buoy was out there quite far. As you can see, this is fully zoomed out and this is fully zoomed in. You would assume that it'd be over the curvature. There's even a boat here. I'll zoom in for you though. Excuse me. So here's the first one. You can't see anything. There's the boat. There's the boat, and there's the buoy starting to show up. There's the buoy. Zooming in. And nearly fully visible. I know that distance would have to be at least 3 miles, probably 4, if not a few more than that, and this buoy should not be fully visible. You gotta think that it's probably maybe down that far into the water. I'm not sure, but it should not be as visible as it is. My fourth reason the Earth cannot be a spinning globe is architecture and planes. Architects, when building large buildings, walls, bridges, etc., do not account for the curvature. There's supposed to be 8 inches of curvature per mile, and no matter how big things are built, no one accounts for the curvature. I still find that suspicious. I guess not everybody else thinks the way I do, or they'd be able to see what I see. Pilots flying aircrafts are taught to aim at the horizon to hold altitude. Planes would constantly need to adjust their altitude and angle down every so often to follow the 8 inches of curvature. Flying at 600 to 800 miles an hour over ground that was dropping 8 inches every mile, changes in altitude would be enormous if no attempts to correct were made. At this rate, the pilot would literally fly off the globe Earth model. Think of all the structures all over the world. Buildings, roads, train tracks, buildings, parking ramps. None of these creations factor in that 8 inches per mile. None. Building roofs from a distance like the one above here in New York City should not all be parallel if every mile elevation changes by 8 inches. These roofs should not be parallel to one another or all straight. They should all be, angling away from each other. Maybe not that dramatic, but that's how it should look. Not completely flat. Excuse me. The Earth is spinning, quote-unquote spinning, at 1,040 miles an hour. Jet airliners fly around the world at 600 to 800 miles an hour. If a plane took off going the opposite way the Earth was rotating, the pilot's destination would come up from behind him or her, since the Earth is spinning faster than the plane is flying. Think about trying to land a plane flying at 600 to 800 miles an hour on a moving target that's moving 1,040 miles an hour. It wouldn't be easy. On Earth, planes that travel in opposite directions than the Earth's spin don't experience anything different than one flying with the spin of the Earth. The Earth is not spinning or moving in any way, or pilots would have a tougher job, I believe. Train engineers do not account for the Earth's curvature when laying tracks. It's supposed to be 8 inches of curvature per mile. When laying tracks, they make sure the tracks stay perfectly level, because if there are any dips or bumps in the track, there would be some problems. Here's an image of train tracks over distance. Next, my fifth reason the Earth is not a spinning ball comes from the Bible and I guess other religions that have the same kind of depiction. The Bible describes the Earth as motionless, immovable, and fixed, and says nothing about the Earth moving. The Bible has no mention of God making the planets, the Earth a sphere, or anything else NASA says exists, like other solar systems and other life-supporting planets hidden in our solar system. Science says the Earth was created from the Big Bang and humans are just a random mistake that just happened to work out. The Bible says God created the Earth in 7 days and created man in his image. Science and NASA say there are deadly bands of radiation surrounding the planet, shielding us from the sun's harmful rays and other space threats. God separated the waters above the firmament from the waters below the firmament, which separate us from heaven and whatever else is above the firmament. Here is a little illustration of the Van Allen belts, deadly bands of radiation that surround the Earth, affecting equipment, humans with radiation poisoning. The Van Allen belts hadn't been discovered during the Apollo missions, and NASA went right through them, unnoticed and unaffected, both human and technology. Now that they are known about or have been discovered, NASA said, to get people to Mars, we have to figure out how to get through the Van Allen belts. As time passes, they adapt, change, and modify their lives to fit the times and agenda. NASA knows there's something impenetrable above us and have tried to have the military blow a hole or blow it up in Operation Fishbowl, which you can look up. They shot massive nukes miles into the sky and detonated them. There's plenty of videos on YouTube. This is a Hebrew depiction of Earth. It really puts into perspective the Tower of Babel. Obviously back then they knew the Earth wasn't a spinning ball, and they knew about God and creation, and Nimrod wanted to reach God. Genesis verse 1, God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Verse 7, and God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. There's just a lot of contradictions with what religion and science say about how the Earth was created and how it is. Obviously, science is its own religion. My sixth reason the Earth cannot be a spinning globe is how the sun hits the clouds. From Earth to the sun is said to be 92,955,807 miles away. If this is the case, light from the sun should be uniform across the Earth. When the sun sets, the sun would stay at the same size as it dips below the horizon, since it's supposed to be us, the Earth, moving. On Earth, This is not what we experience. We see the sunlight hitting the clouds in all different directions and can be traced back to a central point in the sky. When the sun sets and rises, we see the sun start at one size and either grow at sunrise or shrink at sunset. To the right is an example of the sun hitting the earth uniformly. The whole side of the globe Earth is illuminated. If this were what we experience, the whole sky would be the same level of brightness. All the clouds would have parallel sun rays hitting them and coming down to Earth. Not like this. To the right is an example of what we experience on Earth. The sun rays radiate from a central point. I put that up here too. The sun is obviously much closer than 92 million miles away. This photo to the right here, what you're seeing is a weather balloon with multiple cameras on it. The balloon is miles above the surface of the Earth, and yes, the camera is a GoPro. I guess it might not be a GoPro, but it does kind of look like there's some curvature there, which would be from the camera, not the Earth. If the sun were really 92,955,870 miles away, a hotspot like this would be an impossibility. The clouds would all have the same level of illumination. Picture yourself shining a flashlight at a wall from 100 feet away. The wall would be nearly illuminated evenly. Now go 2 feet away from the wall and shine the light at it. There would be a spot where the light is most focused and then would illuminate the rest of the area around the concentration of light. Like what's kind of going on here. I saw the video of this. It's not just a photoshopped photo. It's real. The camera does move around a bit. The balloon does move. Here is explanation of eclipses on a globe Earth. Flat Earth, sorry. In Hindu tradition, Rahu is the severed head of an Ansura called, I'm not going to try to pronounce that swallows the sun, causing eclipses. He is depicted in art as a serpent with no body riding a chariot drawn by 8 black horses. Rahu is one of the Navagraha, 9 planets in Vedic astrology. It is paired with Ketu. The time of day considered to be under the influence of Rahu is called Rahu Kala and is considered inauspicious. In Vedic astronomy, Rahu is considered to be a rogue planet. The other name of Rahu is the only way for eclipses to work on a flat Earth is if they're another object in the sky. This is a screenshot from a video of someone I'm subscribed to on YouTube who was filming an object next to the moon. The footage was shot on 9/15/2016. I'm sorry about the low quality. But I think this is the same object I saw in 2009. A 3-striped object, which I'll get to maybe right here or in another video. If you look closely, it's got 3 stripes. Just go to it now. July 12th at 5:30, 2009, 5:30 a.m. in the southeastern sky. There was an object which I named the 3-striped object because of the 3 stripes it has on it, or had, probably still has since this was taken last year. It was light reddish brown in color with 3 darkish reddish brown stripes going from top right to bottom left, like you see in this picture. I did not take this picture, it was from a YouTube video. I can't remember, I haven't been able to find it since, but southeastern sky at July 12th, 2009, the whole sky was illuminated. The sun hadn't broken the horizon yet, but the whole sky was, and the stars were all gone. It was the size of a quarter held out at arm's length. So it's basically the exact same size as the sun and moon. There weren't any other stars visible at the time when I and a buddy saw this, besides quote-unquote Venus. I don't know what this Venus actually is. It was in the sky during 2008, 2009, and it showed back up last year on Halloween, 2016. So back to this, September 15th, this, I definitely believe that's the same object. This is the moon. This is a real object. This guy had multiple videos of it. Tom R. I'll leave a link in the description. You can see his videos. But whatever is up there, NASA knows and aren't telling us. Here's a little illustration of, we know the sun exists, we know the moon exists, we know the Earth isn't a spinning ball, so we know that those two objects are on top, moving in a circular pattern around the North Pole. Here's the three-striped object. I don't know what path it follows or where it hides out, but I know it exists because I saw it. So did Tom R. He's seen it, and a bunch of other people have also seen it. Rahu, I don't know if it's the same thing, but it doesn't look like it's the same thing. With eclipses, Rahu is supposed to be the cause of the eclipses, the transparent dark circle moving in front of the sun. So it can't be the same as the three-striped object. The three-striped object is light reddish-brown with dark reddish-brown stripes. So there are obviously more objects in the sky that we're not told about. From my previous information, I've demonstrated the Earth cannot be a spinning ball due to the stars being in the same place decade after decade, the way the sun rays hit the Earth, the horizon, the lack of curvature, and water. Knowing now the Earth is not a spinning ball, what does it look like? The closest representation is the azimuthal equidistant map. The North Pole at the center, the sun and moon orbit around the North Pole, some 27 to 3,000 miles above. The South Pole surrounds the continents and keeps the oceans in. Beyond that is only speculation, since no one is allowed to travel a certain distance north or south, since the Earth is not the cause of eclipses. That means there are other things up in the sky with the sun and moon. This is an image of what Rahu looks like. He is eating or hiding the sun. This is an eclipse. The edges of the shadow or Rahu, the transparent black circle, are crisp. This doesn't look too crisp because it's an enlarged photo, but videos of eclipses, the shadow is super crisp. Personally, I think if it was the Earth's shadow, the shadow would have to be fuzzy and blurry around the edges because of how far away it is. The Earth, that is, to the sun, supposedly. On the flat Earth or non-globe model, there must be, at the very least, an object amongst the sun and moon. Obviously with a different pattern than what we're familiar with. Next is the Antarctic Treaty. What is it? If you haven't heard of it, it is an agreement between almost every country on Earth that has been active since '59, and not one country has broken it. It's an agreement that no country lay claim to Antarctica for personal, tourism, industrial, or military use of any kind. It's basically a place where no one is allowed to build or explore or mine for minerals. There's tours that go on, but under strict supervision. No one is allowed to go out of the roped area, so to say. No one is allowed to be smoking outside the boats, feed the seagulls, litter, adventure off the boat at all. So they've got you pretty much under the microscope the whole time you're there, because there's secrets there that they don't want you to know about. Here's the azimuthal equidistant map again, with Antarctica around, North Pole in the middle. Start north. on the globe or the azimuthal equidistant map. If you start north and go south in any direction, you're going to come to ice. So it works on both projections. That's how their lie is so well taken care of over the years. Here's what Wikipedia says about the treaty. The Antarctic Treaty, related agreements, collectively known as the Antarctic Treaty System, the ATS, regulates international relations with respect to Antarctica, Earth's only continent without a native human population. For the purpose of the treaty system, Antarctica is defined as all of the land and ice shelves south of 60 degrees south latitude. The treaty entering into force in 61 and having 53 parties as of 2016 sets aside Antarctic for scientific preserve, establishes freedom of scientific investigation, and bans military activity on the continent. The treaty was the first arms control agreement established during the Cold War. The Antarctic Treaty Secretariat headquarters had been located in Buenos Aires, Argentina, since September 2004. The main treaty was opened for signature on December 1st, 1959, and officially entered into force on January 23rd, 1961. The original signatories were the 12 countries active in Antarctica during the International Geophysical Year, 57 to 58. The 12 countries that had significant interest in Antarctica at the time were Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Chile, France, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, South Africa, and the Soviet Union, and the United Kingdom, and the United States. These countries had established over 50 Antarctic stations for the IGY. The treaty was a diplomatic expression of the operational and scientific cooperation that had been achieved on the ice. The truth of the matter is, Antarctica, as they say, exists as a large frozen continent at the bottom of the globe, does not exist. Truth about Antarctica holds the oceans in place and surrounds the Earth 360 degrees. On both maps, like I mentioned, the globe and azimuthal equidistant. If you start in the North Pole and travel south in any direction, you will come to Antarctica or ice. Threats from space and other forms of debris and satellites. Space threats. Think about how the Earth, planets, and solar system are said to move through space. The Earth is spinning at 1,040 miles an hour, orbiting the Sun at 66,600 miles an hour, and the solar system moving towards Lambda Herculis at 45,000 miles an hour. Multiple directions of movement in a sea of debris, meteors, asteroids, space shuttle debris, dead satellites, and a number of other unknown things. Now think about the frequency that we see things falling from the sky that are big enough to go boom when they land. Not as many as there should be, I personally think. We also do not see anything different in the sky. If we were moving through space and there are other solar systems out there, big planets and stuff, moving as fast as the Earth and Sun are said to be moving, don't you think we'd see something spectacular now and then in the sky go by as the Earth continues on its linear path? You'd think so. Things like this. Stuff's up there, but it's not like they say it's up there. If that makes sense. This image, this confusing bundle of words and fake Earth image, is all the satellites that are said to be up there. CGI image of the ball Earth showing all the working, damaged, unresponsive, or broken satellites orbiting the Earth. The only problem I have with this image is that when I or anybody else looks into the night sky and barely see four things in a few hours moving at a steady constant speed across the night sky, there should be a lot more based on what this looks like. According to these images, we see many things moving. Oh, gosh darn it. We should see many things moving in the night sky. The second problem I have with this image is that NASA shows us photos of the ball Earth that don't show one satellite anywhere in the shot, like all those Sorry. All of these, there's no satellites, anywhere. And to get a nice, clean, crisp shot, they'd have to move all of the satellites out of the way, wouldn't you think? But every image, there's no debris, nothing in the skies. Sure, they may Photoshop them out or whatever, but it's because they're not up there. Look at all this stuff. This is just the front view of this globe, too. That means there is stuff way out to the sides, way out in the back, above. Gosh darn you. Like that. Kind of a crappy image. Obviously it's fake, but there's supposed to be stuff everywhere, and we don't see anything in the night sky. Maybe a couple things here and there, but not like we should, I personally think. Number of satellites currently in use: communication 59%, 555. Earth observation 9%, 81. Navigation 8%, 72. Military surveillance 7%, 69. Astrophysics 5%, 51. Earth science 4%, 41. Other 7%, 68. So there's a lot of stuff up there, but we never see it moving around. And back to the debris and stuff. Where are all the objects that make the craters? Nowhere. I think in most cases, they're just sinkholes. So to conclude, the Earth isn't a spinning ball based on the information presented here. We're being lied to from birth to grave, that the Earth is a ball. You grow up your entire life hearing the lie, believing the lie, and then you indoctrinate your children to the lie. You go on to the grave and die believing the lie. I am here to stop this chain and tell people the truth. Use your senses, use your heart, use your brain, and try to debunk the flat Earth. That's what I set out to do. I tried to prove everybody wrong. I thought the flat Earth was a silly idea and that there's no way it's possible, but here I am making a video about it now. Completely convinced that the Earth is not a spinning globe, and the flat Earth is being cleverly hidden from us by the evil in the world that needs to be stopped. So, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to like. And you can send me an inbox if you'd like to chat. Otherwise, I'm here for you. And stay well, everybody.